According to Verizon, it's 3 p.m. I'd just like to open our December the 1st meeting. Betty, could you read the electronic declaration of electronic meetings?
Certainly. On March 31st, 2020, the Middlesex Board of Supervisors ratified a declaration of emergency issued by the county's Director of Emergency Management and adopted an ordinance to ensure continuity of county government. A copy of this ordinance can be found on the county's website under Board of Supervisors Ordinances number 81. These procedures include the ability for the Board of Supervisors and other county public entities to conduct electronic meetings. Information on how to access these meetings by video and telephone will be posted on the county website. This ordinance was extended on May 5th, 2020, and again on November 4th, 2020. The provisions of the ordinance and electronic meetings is in effect for a period of 6 months unless amended, rescinded, or readopted by the Board of Supervisors. An audio recording is being made of the meeting, which will be linked from the county's website. Notice of the meetings along with access information has been posted on the county website and at the front of the historic courthouse. An electronic meeting link was also sent to those persons that have asked to be part of the board's agenda list. As each person joins the meeting, the public audio will be muted to avoid background noise and the board and staff audio will be open. If a meeting calls for public comment, the chairman will announce that the meeting is open for comments and the public lines will be unmuted. Those with an audio connection should use *9, which will notify the moderator that you wish to comment. To unmute your own phone, you should use *6. Those with video capability are to use the raise hand feature to be recognized by the chair. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak, and each speaker must identify themselves when speaking. All votes will be by roll call and recorded in the minutes. Board members who leave the meeting or arrive must verbally note their attendance. If all board members are not joined by video, a roll call will be made every 2 hours to confirm a quorum.
Board members, are there any questions about the process? The essential business of the board is being done. The purpose of this meeting is for our December 1st business meeting. At this time, could we have roll call?
Mr. Coates?
Present.
Mr. Mansfield?
Present.
Mr. Williams?
With your mic.
Present.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Present.
And Mr. Jesse?
Present. We have a quorum. Okay, at this time, Brother Reginald Williams, could you lead us in prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, Matt Walker.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious Father, we come once again, Father, at the end of the year. Once again, you have brought us to a place of meeting to do county business. Father, we pray that decisions we have to make and the things that we do will be what's best for everybody, Father, and that we'll be looking at you, Father, in our process, in our decision making. In Jesus' name, we all do pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Would all citizens of our country rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to have approval of the consent agenda, but along with that, we will have an addition to our agenda from the Heritage Committee that will be under E, right under E, right behind E. So just put that in the agenda. So do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the additions?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ludd. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Ludd, second by Reginald Williams. All in favor, roll call.
Mr. Coates?
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye.
And Mr. Jesse?
Aye. So moved. Next on the agenda is public comment. The meeting is open for public comment. Lines will be unmuted. Those who wish with an audio connected should use *9 which will notify the moderator that you wish to comment. To unmute your own phone, you should use *6. Those who have video capability are to use the raise hand feature to be recognized by the chair. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak, and each speaker must identify themselves when speaking. Kevin, do we have anybody that wish to speak in public comment?
I do not see any. I'll just reiterate for the audience that we do have, if you're on a phone connection, you can hit *9 to raise your hand, and you can hit the raise hand feature on the Zoom app if you'd like to speak at this time.
Okay.
All right, there are none.
All right, I'd like to close the public comment. Next on the agenda will be constitutional officers. Treasurer and Commissioner of Revenue, Kathy Thrift, which is on page 40 and through 45. Kathy, would you like to have a word at this time?
Her connection is muted.
Is it? Awesome.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, Kathy.
Hi, Wayne. My report I got to you guys, I assume, and then your board report. And if you walk past our window, you can see people are paying their taxes. And we've got lots of mail.
Could everyone hear Kathy all right? It was kind of a little muzzled, but could you hear fine? Does the board members have any questions for Kathy at this time? If not, thank you, Kathy. May Burke, Commissioner of Revenue.
Hello, everyone. If there aren't any questions for me, I do have a recommendation or a request for myself and Ms. Thrift. When you all decide on setting the rates, if you all decide to, please set it a little bit earlier in the spring, because it usually takes my office about a week or so to get Ms. Thrift the information that's needed for billing. And so if we can get my information with the rates that you all set a little bit sooner to her, that would actually help us with getting the bills out to the taxpayers a little bit earlier for next year.
All right, well, thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Just to follow on briefly, Mr. Chairman, I had a conversation with the commissioner and the treasurer and discussed some of their needs, and I'll be discussing that further during the budget calendar discussion later on the agenda.
All right, well, thank you. Next item B, Sheriff Bushy. And we have two budget, a budget supplement and then a budget transfer on page 46 and 47.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with us tonight's Officer Casey Newborn, and of course, our Emergency Services Coordinator, David Lehman. I believe they're going to be handling that presentation on behalf of the sheriff this evening.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
We're essentially asking for a line item of $49,829 to be put in a line item which will be reimbursed by DCGS grant that we have acquired. We don't have the grant funds yet, and that is to help purchase MDTs for the vehicles, the officers' vehicles.
All right. Do we have a motion for the budget supplement request FY 2021-36?
Can we ask a couple questions first, or do you want to do that during discussion, Mr. Chair?
We can do that through this discussion, but you can do it now if you want to. Go ahead.
So moved.
We have a motion by John Coates. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by John Coates, second by Lud Kimball. At this time, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have a question. Officer Newborn, thanks for joining tonight. Does this cover exactly the cost of the grant? I mean, in other words, it's just 49 in, 49 out?
Yes, sir. The totality of the project's a little more, but the majority of the rest of the projects being covered by CARES Act funds.
Very good. And can you
This
tell
won't-
me,
this
sorry, go
won't-
ahead.
I'm sorry, this won't cost the county anything.
Okay, and what is an MDT?
Mobile data terminal.
Perfect. That's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Any other board members have any questions? If not, we have a motion to be properly second. Roll call at this time.
Mr. Coons,
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Aye.
Mr. Jesse.
Aye. And next we have what the budget request transfer. Casey,
Casey, are you gonna handle that or you want me to?
Is that for that's not for the MDTs, correct?
No, this is for the comp board.
Okay,
Supplement.
you can handle that, but I did have one more thing for the board in regards to the terminal.
okay,
Do we want to talk about that first?
yes, go ahead.
Just one thing that we would like to do moving forward is if you can instruct the county attorney, Heather Lewis, to get with myself, and so we can start to create a ordinance to help pay for e-citation, software, hardware, and things like that. There's the state code allows us to collect $5 from every ticket at the courts. All we have to do is create an ordinance, and that gets captured by the courts, sent over to the county, and held in the funds for e-citation to help cover the cost of our maintenance on the software and any type of cell phone usage or anything like that for that project.
Okay,
Board, Mr. Chairman, this is Heather Lewis. I've spoken to Deputy Casey about this, and so I'm aware of it and happy to help. We'd just like to present this to the board and see if this is something the board would like me to work on and have prepared in the next couple of meetings for your consideration.
well, at this time, what's the will of the board? Would you like to have that ordinance?
I would like Heather to prepare it, and we will read it and I'm sure adopt it.
Okay,
That's where I'm at as well, Mr. Chair.
Same here.
Same.
okay, well, we have a consensus from the board, Heather, to go ahead and work on that. for
Yes,
us.
sir.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you. Now we have the budget transfer request, FY 2021-4. Betty?
Right. The comp board this year, I guess with some amendments to the state budget and approval by the General Assembly, is requiring the sheriff's departments to pay a $500 bonus one-time bonus to all of their sworn officers that are paid by the comp board. And it is going to be reimbursed 100% by the comp board. The county has 11 of those positions that are funded by the comp board. There are 8, though, that are not 8 sworn officers with the sheriff's department that are not reimbursed by comp board. And so the sheriff has asked that they also receive that same $500 bonus. And he would pay for that from his contingency line. So that's what this is. It's for a transfer from the sheriff's contingency line into his part-time compensation line so that we could pay those deputies that $500. So the total is $4,306. No increase in his bottom line budget, just a transfer within his budget.
All right, well, thank you, Betty. Any board members have any question on that? If not, do we have a motion for budget transfer request form FY 2021-4?
So moved.
We have a motion by John Kuntz. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by John Kuntz, probably second by Pete Mansfield. Any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Coons,
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Aye.
Mr. Jesse.
Aye. Motion so moved. Next on the agenda would be the agency and staff report, VDOT. Do we have Joyce McQuown there? Or anybody from VDOT? Yeah, I see Joyce up there. I see her name up there.
I'm here. Can
Hey,
you,
Joyce, how are you?
good? I'm trying to unmute my video here.
Right.
There we go. Here. Well, hello. It's good to be with you today. I haven't been over for a while. With COVID, the department has, we have guidelines for our participation in meetings. And right now we are in our stage 1 where we're not allowed to attend meetings with over 10 people. So I appreciate the invite to come in on Zoom to give you an update. I think I was asked in particular to give a quick update on Route 708 Fairfield. I can do that, or I can answer questions either way. Just let me know what you prefer, Chairman.
I would like to get an update on that. I think it'd be good.
Okay. I guess about a couple of weeks ago, Route 708, we realized that a portion of the shoreline had eroded into the travel lane. So we have closed the road to through traffic. The road is not closed to where anyone that resides on the road is impacted for not being able to access their property at this point. We've had a similar issue a few years ago where a piece of the shoreline a little bit further down had collapsed. In doing that, we have to go through the environmental review process and make sure we have all the appropriate clearances and time of year and things like that to begin the work. We should have our final meeting on December 8th to determine if we can move forward in that capacity and get our permits after the fact, or if we have to go through the process. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to move forward. We have a plan, we have what we need to get the project completed. However, we're just waiting to make sure we have all of the clearances and that we have the design approved and that everything is good to go to get that completed. So hopefully we'll be able to get that project underway. We're probably going to move another project that we have in the county, which is Route 676. There's a pipe there in that road, which leads to the subdivision there off of and Brimlick, and that road actually is one way in, one way out. So that will be another one that we'll be working on to make sure that we keep access open for the citizens. A rather large project as well, but we'll probably finish Fairfield before we get started on that one at this point. Waiting on some movement of the utilities out there and some other issues. So with that, Fairfield, we've fixed another piece of it in the past. So hopefully, this will work smoothly and we will get in and get out and get that repaired. I don't believe I've had any calls from any of the citizens in the community or any other things like that. So once we have a plan, we'll reach out to those property owners and make sure they know what's going on and how we're going to proceed. So that's the update I have at this point. And you have our December board update. Something that isn't in there that we normally do this time of year, we didn't put it in there, is sweeping of the curb and gutter areas. We usually catch those in the fall once the leaves have fallen. We'll take care of those over the next 30 to 45 days in the curb and gutter sections in the villages throughout the county. And then we're going to continue, because we're having good weather, just knock on wood, wherever that is, here it is, that we will be able to continue our pipe washing and ditching to get some of the work done that's been asked for by the citizens. So that's two extra additional things in there. Also wanted to bring to your attention that Route 625 over Barracks Pond is a bridge structure in our inventory system that will be closed to through traffic for a replacement in February of 2021, we will send out a media alert to the newspaper, the county, emergency services, and post message boards to let folks know about that as well. So, but those are what I have at the moment. If you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to ask them.
Does
Answer.
anybody have any questions for George?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have 3 questions. Barracks Mill, what's the anticipated duration of that closing?
Let me see if I have it on my sheet up here. Probably 4 months at the most, if I recall correctly. It's a state force replacement, meaning that the folks that work here will be going in and doing the work. It's not contracted out. So they're usually pretty quick turnaround. So 90 days to 120 days is what they're normally doing in the turnaround for those.
And a follow up on that, what are the traffic ramifications? Where will the traffic flow go to from Barracks Mill for that duration?
I don't have the map in front of me, so I don't want to misguide you in that, but I can send you the detour.
Yeah, if you would send that to the county administrator for distribution to us, I think it'd be helpful to get the word out ahead of time as much as we ever can.
Yeah, there are several different ways around. So sometimes on the back roads or the secondaries, we'll post that it's closed and have a main detour, but most folks will find other ways to get to and fro. So, but we will actually include all of that in the media release before February. So I'll make sure you get that.
Thank you, Joyce.
You're welcome.
My second question, I can't remember if I requested this of you or Ron Peaks, but it's been a couple months and I didn't see it in your report. It's another traffic study in Piankatank Shores. There's still numerous constituents that are not happy with the speed that people are barreling down the main road there. We made an adjustment, or VDOT made an adjustment to part of the area, but it's the feeling of numerous constituents that further study is required there to reduce speed. If you don't recall that request, that's okay, but I want to make sure it's on the record, and we're aspiring to get a study done in the first quarter, and hopefully recognizing that, you know, when the constituents are looking for lower speed, to me, that's an astounding thing. Usually they're complaining because they're getting tickets for going 5 miles over or whatever. In this case, they're concerned about the safety of their children and their families. And I'd really like that to be a focus for us in the first quarter.
Right. Ron is actively engaging the traffic folks in trying to negotiate, I don't know if that's the right word or not, the parameters of the existing traffic speed area and where the citizens would like the speed reduced to try and do a little bit more study or look into that. So I can we can get you an update on that. I know that we're actively working on trying to relay some of the concerns of the citizens of where the new posting is versus I think where they wanted the posting. So
yeah,
try to
and any update there would be very helpful. Just you know, I think a lot of times constituents feel like government moves very slowly. And if we can at least just say, hey, this is being worked on, and especially if we can say, you know, within the next 3 months, we should have an answer. But I would expect if the answer is the study finds and concludes that there's no need for change, we're probably not done talking about it. So just be prepared for that.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to mitigate on our side. And Ron's actually listening in. I don't know if he has an update, but we'll get you something. He's been working on that pretty diligently. So we'll be able to send you a written comment for that.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you both. And then my third question is, I think our next agenda item is a long history in this community of us trying to figure out what to do with 629 Haley's Mill. I don't know that tonight we're going to solve fixing that road, but in the letter from Mr. Fleet, it's pretty clear that in the time of COVID and before that, we're damaging one of our key businesses that not only provides some tax support to the county, but brings in tourists from outside who spend money, not just in leisure at the only golf course in our community, but also in fundraisers. And I think he's got a great point that the GPS is sending folks to a bridge that's out. And when people go golfing in this day and age, they don't show up 4 hours early. They show up for their tee time. And if they miss their tee time, it's a real problem.
Okay.
His issue is signage, and the idea of paying for $450 a month for a blue sign that's barely noticeable. I guess what I'm looking for from VDOT, and I think the other supervisors might support me here, is a workaround that would at least provide us the ability to put some signage up, or for the ability for Piankatank River Golf Course to put some signage up at the entrance to Haley's Mill Road of the Polar Highway that would at least get people to say, well, let me override my GPS, people who are unfamiliar with the area coming to spend money, and get far enough along the Polar Highway that the GPS would correct itself and not send people to an out bridge. Is that something we can aspire to have a better response on in the first quarter of 2021?
Directional signage is part of that, we call it our logos program. And I think, you know, it is correct that those are paid for by the golf course owners. Maybe I can reach out to them and see if there's a way to maybe move them, or maybe we can look at where they are. I would be interested to have a copy of Mr. Fleet's letter that may help me better understand what his concerns are. When we talk about navigation in the system, the GPS still shows, I'm assuming Haley's Mill as a through road because the road hasn't been abandoned or discontinued to public use at any point at the end where the dam is on either side. That was something that we've discussed in the past. Since the road has been closed, is there has to be a determination by the board on what happens to that piece of property, because there's no through road through it, and there aren't funds in the secondary 6-year plan to rebuild the road. So that would be something that we would have to talk about if you wanted to pursue what are your next options. So seeing Mr. Fleet's letter, I can get you some information on logos. I can get you some information on where we stand with the status of the roadway and what your options are.
I'll do you one better. I think I could ask the county administrator to provide the letter and contact information for Mr. Fleet. I think he'd be happy to take it and better understand.
I was going to recommend just that, Mr.
No, that's fine.
I was
Yeah,
going to
I
recommend
can get
maybe
that.
Joyce reach out to Mr. Fleet and meet with him and discuss his letter in person.
And I'd also, Joyce, like to understand if we're not in the 6-year plan for repair of that, I'd like to understand why not. I'd like to understand the decision tree that VDOT makes that determines that road isn't valuable to us as a community. And I'm sure it has something to do with expense, but I think I owe it to my constituents to know why that road remains just sort of left abandoned.
Well, it's not up to VDOT to provide the, the secondary 6-year plan is governed by the Board of Supervisors. It's financially constrained, and the projects that are in that plan or projects that are applied for through revenue sharing or smart scale, all of these projects are initiated through the county. So the department is not choosing which roads get put on the plan or which ones, don't get put on the plan. That's a process that we do every year when we do the secondary 6-year plan updates. So because the project is in the millions of dollars and you only have a limited amount of funding, you can't put a project on the plan if you don't have the money to fund it over the 6 years. So that's why that project has not been put on the secondary 6-year plan, because there's no funding source to put it into the program. The funding that the county receives is your telefees and your unpaid road money, which you don't have any more unpaid road money. So you just have what you have in telefees, which is, I don't have it in front of me, about $80,000 to $100,000 a year. So financially, that project can't be put on the plan, not because you don't want to or we don't want to have the road fixed. It's just financially, it's not, the funding's not there from that source.
Is there any precedent, Joyce, of a county going to the state and asking for support? Because I don't see us having significantly more revenue anytime soon. Do you know of any way we might go to the state and ask for special money attributed to this?
There's nothing that I know of. The processes for funding projects all flow through the prioritization process that was established in 2013 through Smart Scale. And so the projects have to go through the scoring process and meet a need through that program. We've had, you know, we don't have, the process would be initiated through the county to do those type of projects. I'm not sure that this project would meet that need the way that the program works at the moment. So there aren't any funds that we have at our disposal to apply to a project. They're all through the secondary 6-year plan, revenue sharing, or Smart Scale. And they're all done through an application process. So that would be something that probably could try to apply for to see if it met any of the needs for the process that'll start next year in
Thank you, Joyce.
2021-22, if that makes any sense.
It makes a fair amount of sense as far as government workings go, but I appreciate all your responses. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does any other board member have any questions for Joyce?
Yes, Joyce, I'd like to ask the pavement. Is it possible to get Raven Road paved? They have the 25-foot clearance, and there are about 16 houses there. I took a look at the road, and it does look like they would do well to have it paved.
I hate to ask because I know all the route numbers. I don't know the route names. Is this a private road now? That's not in the state system?
I believe it's a private road.
Okay, that process kind of relates back to Supervisor Kuntz's question about Haley's Mill. Through the secondary 6-year plan, we used to be able to do rural additions. But the funding for the rural additions is not there because you can only put aside 5% of the money for those projects. I think Route 6, right off of Route 640, 670, I think was the last one we did in the county probably 15 years ago. So basically any road that is a private road that is not in the VDOT system, the road would have to be brought up to standards, to VDOT standards, like a subdivision street by someone else. There aren't any programs within VDOT to bring a road into the system. So these roads will come in under being developed by others under permit. So there aren't any funding sources that you can provide through your plan to help them get their road into the system right now. So you've given me these questions that I have to say no to.
All right, does any other board member have any questions with Joyce? If not, thank you, Joyce. I would like to say that Johnny Fleet has a prior engagement, so he wasn't able to Zoom with us, but he will be on the program in January, okay?
Okay, and I will get the letter. I'll reach out to Mr. Fleet because I also have to reach out about Fairfield once we have a plan. And we'll get to work on trying to see what we can do.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Good to see everyone. Y'all take care. Be safe.
Same here. Next, B would be school matter, Dr. Peter Gretz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I have 3 pieces of information, business to process with you. The first one, you'll recall in your last meeting, the board approved very graciously to support out of CARES money, the procurement and installation of the air filters for our school buses, as well as the bipolar ionization in 2 of our 3 schools. And the 3rd school was going to be supported with schools CARES money. And so this is appropriating those funds that you approved for those purposes on the 5th of November. And I will tell you that the air filters arrived today and we're in the process of being installed in the buses today. The next, did you want to go, Mr. Chairman, each one separately or do all 3?
Let's do all 3.
Okay. The next one is a little bit difficult to explain, but We are the fiscal agent for the Regional Governor School program that serves multiple divisions, Chesapeake Bay Governor School program. And a purchase was processed by the Governor School, and a rebate was inappropriately given to the Governor School, and it was made to us as fiscal agent instead of the Governor School. And so they are cutting a check to us in the amount for that refunded amount. And we're asking you to appropriate that. It's going to come from the Governor School to reimburse us for a charge that was inappropriately made by Amazon. Ms. Murray, you're on here, and I feel like I'm just weaving a tangled web here. Is that clear to everybody? Anything you'd want to add to that, Karen?
No, that's good. Unless they need further clarification, it truly, Amazon truly messed that up, and they have confessed that is their fault.
Okay. So they'll cut us a check, and we're asking you to appropriate that check.
Yeah, they've actually cut us the check. Yeah, we're just asking for the appropriation into the budget.
Thank you. Then the third item is there's an initiative in Virginia that started a couple of years ago called OER, Open Educational Resources, and basically it warehouses educational support, educational technology, supplemental instructional curriculum materials, and tries to put them into a setting that can be accessed kind of the way everybody might go to Amazon to purchase something. And this would be a way for all educators in Virginia to go and access items for free. It's a pooling, if you will. And so as part of that, we participated in a grant program with 2 other school divisions a couple of years ago. It related to that OER initiative. And as part of that funding that we received, we're participating with Poquoson and West Point. We're not the fiscal agent, but as part of that funding that was received, we had teachers that were identified along with teachers in the other 2 divisions to work on educational assessment materials that would be part of the OER resource warehousing. And these are stipends that were paid to all of those teachers. And so West Point is the financial agent for the grant for the 3 school divisions, and they will be sending us a check in this amount for this purpose. And so we're asking you to appropriate that. And those are the 3.
All right, does any board member have any questions? If not, we have a motion to approve budget supplement FY 2021, 34, 38, and 39.
So moved.
We have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion by John, second by Doug Kimball. Any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Coons?
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye.
Mr. Jesse?
Aye. Motion so carried.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Dr. Gretz.
Mr. Chair, I had one question for Dr. Gretz, if you have time.
Yes, go ahead.
Dr. Gretz, are there any new items installed outside of St. Clair Walker in your parking lot in anticipation of arrival of 2 major items to your Middlesex or county public school system that the board might want to be aware of for December?
Interestingly, there are. You'll notice when you go past the middle school, you'll see that there are charging stations that have been set up. Each charging station, I understand, will service 2 buses. And so we've been given the capacity to charge 8, even though we're only going to be getting 2. And the thought behind that is in Virginia, I think they're anticipating an expansion of that program through Dominion. And so it's more cost efficient for them to go ahead and build in the capacity now. But we're looking forward to receiving those buses sometime this month, and hopefully going to be able to put together some kind of a celebration, ribbon cutting ceremony that we'd love for everybody to be a part of. We don't have all the final details on that, but we're working with the public relations people from Dominion to set that up. It'll be a very exciting time for us.
Great, well, thank you on that.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Pete. I always like to keep abreast of what's going on with the schools.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Next, line item C, we have social service, Rebecca Morgan, and on page 54 to 56. Hi, Rebecca.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. I hope everybody is doing well. Just wanted to give you all an update. It's been a few months since I've sort of spoken with you all in person. Just wanted to let you all know we are very busy here at Social Services. The economic impacts of COVID continue to impact Middlesex County. We are very fortunate that our local food bank, and they very much want to get the word out at Hands Across Middlesex. I know many of the news reports, you've seen the lines backed up for people trying to get food. Hands Across Middlesex has shored up their resources and has an enormous amount of reserves. And so for anyone in this community, at least, there is plenty of food, and we anticipate that that will continue. We have had an increase, obviously, in our SNAP and Medicaid applications, as well as our TANF. And for SNAP, that's our formerly known as food stamp program. I'll tell you a story that we came across just today. Had a client, and this is just tough. She was $20 over the income limit, has kids. Most of our SNAP clients, I like to emphasize this, are working adults. They are just underemployed and making minimum wage or just above minimum wage. So we really struggle with those clients who fall in the gaps. But she is one of our only, sort of recent denials. Most folks who have been applying have qualified. Unemployment has hit our clients especially hard because many of them are employed in the hospitality business, in the retail business, and hotels, restaurants, those kinds of employers. Did want to also talk about our energy assistance program. Dominion has suspended energy disconnections, but our energy program continues. We're really trying to get the word out to clients to please continue paying on their power bills. What's happening is some clients are prioritizing rent and food and other necessities above their power bill. And what's happening is that balance is just going up and up and up each month. And we are really holding our breaths whenever the state, the SCC, decides to end that moratorium on disconnections. We are really holding our breath in terms of the assistance that clients will need to get those bills paid. Also wanted to talk briefly about Child Protective and Adult Protective Services. Our Child Protective Services numbers remain low. That does not mean abuse isn't happening. It just means that we are not getting the reports as we normally do. And our local sheriff's office obviously has been very integral to getting us the reports that are occurring, but usually by the time that they respond and let us know, situations have escalated quite a bit. Adult Protective Services, however, is at or above normal levels right now, which means that folks in Middlesex are doing a great job at looking out for their neighbors and looking out for our older adults in the community, which is a good thing. Our holiday assistance program is underway. Our applications are down. That doesn't mean that the need isn't just as great as it normally is. It just means that everyone is overwhelmed right now with trying to juggle virtual school, trying to juggle the pandemic stress, trying to juggle childcare and employment. And I think that Christmas has kind of been at the bottom of the list, but we are working to get the word out. We also have another program that is kind of in conjunction with our school system. And I think Dr. Pete's still on the line if he wants to interject, but it's called the EBT program or Pandemic EBT program. And it provides SNAP benefits for kids in Middlesex County. because our reduced lunch rate is at or above 50%, every child in Middlesex, regardless of income, qualifies to get it. The new nutrition director in the county actually applied for this, and we were given the grant. Excuse me. The state right now is handling that program, and local offices have very little to do with it other than we get called when there's a problem. And now the state in its great decision making is now working out a plan to turn that program over to local departments because they've realized they just don't have the know-how to administer it. But that said, if you hear of folks getting these cards in the mail and they're going, but I have plenty of money for food. We really encourage people to spend the money. It's 100% federal money. It's provided to our county. And think about this. You will be helping out Food Lion, Deltaville Market, and Urbana Market at the very least by buying additional food. And so every SNAP dollar used in the community generates about $1.77. And so we really encourage folks to use that even if they don't think they need it. And I did want to leave everybody, I know that's kind of a grim report, but do want to leave everybody with a nice story. We had a gentleman we've worked with for years who his house has just fallen into disrepair. He owns it, but we got some grant funding from the River County's Community Foundation a few months ago, and we were able to find him a trailer. And so he has plenty of land that he owns. And so we worked with Hands Across Middlesex and found a guy to move the trailer and install it, and hooked up his electricity and plumbing and heat. And so he is cozy and warm for the winter. He was relying on, kerosene heaters, and it's not healthy, not a healthy environment. And his indoor plumbing was just kind of gone. And so even with COVID, our community partners are still being creative and working it out and helping people where we can. And so hope that sort of ends my report with a little bit of good news for today, and hope you all have a great rest of your meeting and a happy holiday.
Same to you, Rebecca. Does anyone else have any questions for Rebecca? If not, you have a happy holiday too, Rebecca, and take care. Next, we have D, Coast Corner project update with Bay Design. We have Ben Burton and Wayne Savage. It's going to be on page 57 to 78.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm Ben Burton. This is Wayne Savage on my right, your left. In your board packet, we included a memorandum about the status of the project and a copy of the plans, the 80% complete plans, the way they stand now. I hope you had a chance to review them, but I'll go over them quickly. There are 21 pages of plans. The first portions of the plans, the A plans, cover the gym windows and the gym doors and the gym roof repair, along with the social services boardroom window upgrades. The M drawings are the full HVAC system upgrade. Plus it includes the air conditioning for the gym. And then the E drawings are the supporting electrical system upgrades for the HVAC systems and the removal of the gym lights and replacement of them by LED fixtures. We had an earlier review of the plans prior to the November meeting with Matt and Betty. We got several comments from them at that point in time. And those comments are being incorporated in the plans now. One of the things that is getting added to the plans, and it's based on Dr. Pete's presentation about bipolar ionization, is that we are going to add that type of element to the new HVAC system for the Cook's Corner renovation. That's estimated to add about $20,000 to the cost of this particular project. Where we stand now on the project, as I indicated, is where our sub-consultants are in the process of incorporating comments that Matt, Betty, and I developed roughly a month ago. We are looking to having that wrapped up in late December so that it can go into Dave Self to get his review of it, so that he'll be in a position to confirm that it meets all the building codes and be able to issue building permits. And when a contractor is selected, we'll be selecting the contractor through a bid process in the late winter, early spring process time frame. A bid package is expected to go out in probable late January for a bid in February, and I would expect an award in March type of thing. One of the things that I discussed with Matt and Betty was the fact that the bid for this project, there'll be an overall bid to accomplish everything, but it'll be several components of the bid that will allow the county to pick and choose exactly what gets installed. The basic system, the gym upgrades, the windows, the doors, the AC system, the HVAC system for the entire Cook's Corner is the biggest part of the bid. Then there'll be a separate bid item for the gym roof, and then there'll be a separate bid item for the upgrade of the windows, taking out the Dravit and putting in window systems at the social services boardroom. In particular, that component, the social services boardroom windows, is basically a test to see just exactly what the window repairs or window upgrades could cost for the entire building, should the board decide to move forward with those components at a later date. There was a lot of discussion in the program level about just how much they would cost, why it would cost so much. So we chose this particular portion of the overall building as an easy place to get a reasonable cost for what a set of windows might cost as it's applied if and when around the rest of the buildings. So that will be a test case. If you decide to move ahead with that particular window, we just award the contract. If you decide to not award it, the bid format will allow you to eliminate that from any award. I won't go into any further review of this, but just be available to answer questions should you have any.
All right, well, thank you. Any board members have any questions on the renovation?
Just one, Mr. Chair. Matt, did we exhaust all potential CARES Act opportunities on this?
I believe so. We've already made some improvements to the building to make them more pandemic resistant that we've moved forward with social services and whatnot. But yeah, I think we pretty much exhausted that ability.
Okay.
And the work would have to be completed by the end of the year, it's my understanding, in order to utilize CARES fundings for any portion of it. I think, Mr. Chairman, what we're looking for from staff's perspective tonight is authorization to move to bid the project and then come back before you once the bids are received.
Okay. Well, at this time, I guess we'd like to have a motion for bid on the project to put it up for bid.
So moved.
Motion by John Kunz. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Reginald Williams. A motion by John Kunz, second by Reginald Williams. Any more discussion?
This thing should
If
be.
not, roll call.
Mr. Coons,
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Aye.
Mr. Jesse.
Aye. Motion so carried. Well, if we don't have any more questions for Ben and Wayne, well, thank you. Y'all have
Thank you,
a
gentlemen.
holiday. Okay. Next, we have E, Cook's Quarter Grant and Historical Trail Update. Michelle Brown.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Gordon White, Chairman of the EDA, and he would like to give an announcement on the Cook's Corner Brew Pub. So I'm gonna pause myself here.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jesse and members of the board. For the record, my name is Gordon White. I am Chairman of the Middlesex County Economic Development Authority. Your agenda for today includes an update on the Cook's Corner project. I can only speak for the brew pub and restaurant portion on the south side of General Polar Highway, but unfortunately I have bad news. The developers have pulled out of the project. The severe economic pressure of the COVID-19 pandemic has forced the developers to withdraw. Their hotel and restaurant businesses have been very hard hit by COVID-19 and they're unable to proceed. I am disappointed but not surprised. I'm still hopeful the site can be developed, and I hope failure of the restaurant portion of the Cook's Corner project will not substantially affect the workforce housing portion on the north side of the highway. As you know, on March 25th, 2019, Governor Ralph Northam announced more than $2.25 million in grants from the Commonwealth to support the overall project. Without the participation of the Cook Corner partners, Jay Shaw and Travis Clarkson, the restaurant and microbrewery grants will not be made unless another developer can be found to take over this project. While the EDA will do its best to find another developer for the property, in the present economic climate, an immediate restaurant there appears unlikely. However, we at the EDA will try to find some entity that can use the property. As you also know, the project was to involve moving the former St. Clair Walker School building across Bowler Highway. This board conveyed the property south of the highway to the EDA in 2018 and promised to allow the developer to move the former St. Clair Walker building across the highway when construction began. I see that you are shortly to hear from the Black Heritage Committee, which was formed to tell the story of both schools. We hope that work will continue. I will leave description of their work to the committee. Members of the EDA and our administrator, Michelle Brown, have put in hundreds of hours over nearly 4 years in this project. We are quite sad to see it fail. I'll be glad to answer any questions if I'm able.
Any board members have any questions? As you know, most of them, the board members are aware of what was going on, but appreciate you letting us know. Any board members have any questions for Gordon?
If you could give just a little bit of clarity, Gordon, on you mentioned $2.25 million of grants from the state. Were they all dependent on the brew pub and restaurant, or was it a portion of it for the housing, or how did that get apportioned out? No, there's several moving pieces to the grants, and only a portion of that was to support the brew pub.
So it's not all lost. It's a portion of it's lost unless we can find a replacement developer who's interested for a brew pub restaurant.
I can answer that question. We are actually supposed to have a meeting on Friday to discuss those actual questions. The questions that have come up are, can the workforce housing and the nature trail still move forward without the brew pub? can we keep the money and find a new developer for the EDA property? Those are all the questions that we're hoping will be answered on Friday with our meeting with DHCD. But I don't have the answers for you today.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Does any board member have any more questions for Gordon or Michelle?
I still was going to give my historic trail update if you all would still like to, just kind of hear what's going on with the Heritage Committee and the nature trail.
Okay.
Matt and I met with Bay Design at the end of October to start the preliminary design of the nature trail. We discussed to start mapping out the trail in the late fall, dependent on the topography. We discussed the African American heritage interpretive signs that will go along the trail. And we are still planning for this to move forward as long as we can. We're also looking to possibly do a building at the entrance of the nature trail, a history kiosk, and maybe some seating, some wider paths. That way it can accommodate those who are elderly and maybe unable to walk the trail. So that way there would be a twofold. You could have persons who are walking the trail, but others who maybe can't walk the trail would still be able to go in a park-like setting and still be able to read some of the African American heritage. Also, this isn't going to be just a wonderful park that the community can use. It has a much larger potential. I believe that the Middlesex County Parks and Recreation could create programs such as like a Mommy and Me program, or a walk and a run fitness program, or a nature tour with this nature trail. The school system could use it as a field trip to learn about Black history and also maybe science and nature. It could be a destination for tourists who are seeking African American heritage knowledge. Possibly even MHS cross-country team could use it for training and conditioning. So there's a lot of potential uses for this nature trail that we're hoping to incorporate as long as it can move forward. The VCI grant currently allows the preliminary design work to move forward without being under contract. We just can't start construction until we know a little bit more about the VCI grant. The Heritage Committee and I have met, and we have been discussing hiring a professional consultant to do the research of the history of Cook's Corner. And that research will be utilized for the interpretive signs along the nature trail. And we had some good news. The Nature Trail Community Impact Grant did confirm with us that a portion of it could be used to help pay a professional historic researcher. So that's very good news. And we'd like the board to just consider today. We don't have to make a decision until we find out a little bit more what DHCD will be doing with the brew pub and the grant situation. But think about approving utilizing a portion of that community impact grant for the professional researcher that the Heritage Committee would help recommend which person would be best for that job to help create that history that we want to promote. And that's all I have for you all today.
All right. Does any other board member have any questions for Michelle?
I got a couple questions.
Sure.
I think the EED owns that old cafeteria to Sinclair Walker. Do y'all have any, Sinclair Walker Middle School? Do we have anything that we're gonna do with the building, or are we just gonna continue to let the roof cave in?
Well,
I believe you're talking about the RCE building, correct?
Yes.
We don't have anything in mind except to try to find someone to replace the people who pulled out. if that's possible, and if we can't get which frankly seems unlikely right now, to try to get somebody else to develop the property for uses we still don't know about.
Was it ever money for to put a roof on that to save the building instead of let the building sit there and fall down?
Well, there's money to completely replace the roof, but we plan to send the county's drone to take close-up pictures of the roof to see just what the condition is, and to perhaps make a more substantial but temporary patch on the roof to keep it from deteriorating further until we see exactly what we may be able to do with the building.
Right, but the county have gave y'all money to replace the roof.
Yeah, I think it was $100,000 put aside, wasn't it, Matt?
That's correct. I was going to add the county pledged $100,000 towards the roof replacement. But if the board would recall, the EDA is in a very similar position as we were several years ago, because while we had the money to fix the roof, we weren't 100% sure a new use would want the roof fixed. It wasn't 100% sure whether the building would be saved or repurposed for any use that would come in it. And at the time, the county didn't have a use in mind for the structure. That's one of the reasons it was given to the EDA with the $100,000 pledge to renovate the roof. So they find themselves in a very similar place that we found ourselves several years ago. Do you repair the roof not knowing what the building is going to be used for? Or do you kind of wait and have a partner with a use in mind to determine how best to replace the roof and put the $100,000 towards that? That's my recollection.
Oh, it gets pretty interesting when we started talking about it. Right now, we're looking at a decay. And also at old St. Clair Walker Gym, everything is buying up in St. Clair Walker Gym. You could easily make Parks and Recreation over in the cafeteria while we waiting on somebody to do something. We don't know what to do. We also got the academy there. We got the academy in the back, and we got the cafeteria. If you think, and this is just food for thought, that was a cafeteria. Behind the cafeteria was a shop, which was a builder shop. Now we talking about recurring history back. What if they made the academy in the building that the lunch was at, and then turn around the bus shop into the old shop that we have training for our kids at school? If we do the cost thing, the county's not making anything from it anyway. So I'm just saying, if we're looking at it, we got to do something with the building. We can't let it sit there and the top decay. On the inside of it is too good. And it's been too long for us to sit there and look at that building and make no decision at all. We got to make a decision. If we got somebody that want to put a restaurant or whatever they want to do, how are they going to turn down a building that is in excellent shape? If we fix it up on our insurance rule, I called today, I didn't find out about that. But I was talking to an agent, they were saying, you know something, we maybe can get some money toward fixing that roof if we know the right avenues to go through. So I'm saying money is out there. It's decaying. We got a building there that is better than a lot of the buildings that we are spending money on. And we have been letting it sit there over 20 years and doing nothing with it. And I don't know why we're not doing nothing with it. We got to fix the roof. That's the way I feel about it.
Well, we plan to protect the roof as soon as we find out the exact condition of it, so that it doesn't deteriorate further. But as Matt has said, it probably, we don't feel at the moment it makes sense to put a complete new roof on, spend that much taxpayers' money until we know exactly what the building's going to be used for. But we will protect the building as best we can.
Well, and Gordon and Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'll give an example as why that decision was kind of a wise one at the time, because when we were working with the brew pub and restaurant developer, one of the endeavors I think they were looking to pursue was actually raising the roof so many feet to allow for the tanks and the brewery equipment to fit in under that roof. It's at a good height, but it's at a strange height when you start looking at brewery uses. And I think it was at one point in time, it was their consideration on whether they were going to need to raise the roof by another 6 to 10 feet to fit the equipment in and the loading bays and whatnot on the rear of the building. So it is somewhat use dependent. If the county had a pretty firm idea of a use in mind for it, it's something that I think we could pursue. I will say this, and Betty could add some information to this. We've had the county maintenance staff on that roof probably for the last time. It's at the point, and Reggie, you're 100% right. It's at the point now where you're almost afraid to get anybody up on that roof that's really not experienced with roof work. We've had, I think, some plywood over one hole, and where the roof is deteriorating is along the edges where the downspouts came through, and it's just slowly eating back. Not lost on me is the need to have that building as weatherproof as possible, because we don't want to lose the structural integrity of the building, or especially that prized terrazzo floor that we have that certain county administrators kind of fond of. But I am somewhat optimistic that we're hearing some positive rumblings about the possibilities of new partners willing to come in and kind of pick up where the project left off. We're not in any way, shape, or form ready to report back on that, but it's the Christmas season, so miracles happen.
Your mic is off, Greg. Your mic is off. Turn your mic on.
All right, okay. We had this conversation one time before it was but a school that the counties was putting together, that I think was Lancaster, Essex, and all of them would be send cars to Richmond, and we didn't have a building to put them in. You know, with that in the kid building, what if we had that building with a good top on it, the state was willing to pay money to expand it, it would be a big income because it would help the taxpayers, of the county. So by us dragging our feet on making a decision that money have already been allocated for, we are not getting it done. We just not getting it done. I'm just using that as, and over now, I guess everybody knows that Lancaster got the bid to put the school over there, and they're doing renovation. We had a place sitting right here, good square footage, building in the back, basically used for storage, that we could actually put the school there, and the state would have funded it. They would fund it, the remodeling of it. But we didn't pursue that avenue because as a county, we got to stop saying different things and start doing things that are together. And once we start doing things that are together, we can see the clear picture. If it can't be a restaurant, but what is it at the end of the day, what can it be? The cafeteria over the school that we're talking about, a history of Middlesex High, St. Clair Walker. There also was a maintenance shop in place of the bus shop. We had maintenance at the high school, for instance, in a small place. We had everything right there to turn that lunch back into the academy because you had the building there. We had the building across the road to do these things. So I'm just, look, I just been here for 1 year on this. I'm just looking at it and I see what I know. I don't like the idea of dragging feet when you need a building, need a top on it to save it. And you would not be hurting the taxpayers' money because if you put a top on it, you can use it for something. And that's all I'm saying about it. I'm just upset as anybody else, if it's a word, is upset because it's not turned into a cafeteria. You know, so I mean, to a restaurant. You know, so I'm on board as far as that. I'm disappointed. I don't like it. I was looking forward to it, but I just had to say, I know I can't let that building sit there and just decay. I just can't see it. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, Reggie, very, very good point. And Mr. Chairman, if it's the will of the board, we'll try to partner with the EDA. The EDA owns the building now. We'll try to work with them on trying to stabilize that roof in some fashion, at least for this winter. That'll give us a little bit more time to see what can percolate up as far as the use, if that's the will of the board.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a good idea to stable and secure that roof, definitely. I think I was the last one on top there, putting that plywood. Have there been anybody else been on this since then?
I was going to save that for offline, Mr. Chairman, but I'll go up on it if you go.
Well, I was the last one that put plywood on it. I don't think anybody else been on it since then.
Yeah, I think you're right. And there's a reason you went up there because you know what you're doing on those roofs, and it's a little touch and go.
All right, okay. All right, well,
Up on my own roof, and I go up on that one if some people go along with me.
Well, Michelle's going to have to volunteer to go up with you, Gordon. Wayne's my chairman. I'll follow him. She'll have to follow you up on that route.
We may be better looking with a Zoom.
And I'm glad the EDA has the insurance on it.
all right. Any more questions for Gordon or Michelle? If not, thank you. Happy holidays to you. All right, next
Thank you,
on the
Mr.
agenda that we added, it's from the Heritage Committee. We met last Friday, and I have a letter, and I'm gonna just go ahead and read the letter out, and it's just give a little bit of background and history on it. I'm writing this letter on behalf of the Heritage Committee of Middlesex County, Virginia. The Heritage Committee was founded in 2017 and operated under the umbrella of Middlesex County for the purpose of discovering, preserving, and displaying the history of St. Clair Walker High School and Cook's Corner. Its information was directly linked to the revitalization of Cook's Corner project, the focus of which the Cook's Corner and historic African-American community that for decades was the hub of the African business, enterprise, culture, and entertainment in Middlesex County. And the St. Clair Walker High School and high school for Black students during the period of segregation. Since the inception of the Heritage Committee, it had worked with Michelle Brown, coordinating of Economic Development Authority and coordinating Middlesex County Economic Development and Tourism, Travis Proxon, Cook's Corner Partnership, a joint venture with Travis Proxon of the Rappahannock Oyster Company and Jay Shaw of the Shaman Hotels. The Heritage Committee also had interacted with Matt Walker, Middlesex County Administrator, Bruce D. Simone, Chair of the Middlesex Foundation, and represent for the Virginia State Department of Historical Resource. The Heritage Committee stated views of responsibility focus upon first and third prong of the three-prong revitalization plan. The first prong of the project is the establishment of the new microbrewery to be located in the former Rappahannock Central Elementary School cafeteria, a new commissioner kitchen, and a new restaurant to be housed and relocated and restore former St. Clair Walker High School cafeteria, agricultural vocational building. The second prong of this project under the auspice of Middlesex County Foundation is to erect of affordable housing and employment of residents of Middlesex County on a portion of the site of the former St. Clair Walker High School. Prong 3 is the creation of the Heritage Trail to commemorate the rich history of Cook's Corner that for decades was a vital economic, cultural, and social force in the African American community. It is again this background of the Heritage Committee on November the 9th, 2020, at its first meeting since the onset of the pandemic conclusion that it was compelled to address and bring to your attention a matter of great concern. The concern arises from an article that appeared in Southside Sentinel, first dated July 30th, 2020, and entitled Historical Mural Odd for the Middlesex County Public Schools Bus Garage, and the second dated September the 16th, 2020, and entitled Painting to Start on Soon, Cook's Corner Mural, the July 30th, 2020 article stated. In July, supervisors voted to approve a mural concept and instruct Kuntz to move forward with the historical research for the painting of the mural and to, at no cost to the county. Moving on, then September 16, 2020, the article set forth the historical artwork research for a decorative mural to be painted on the side of the concrete building bus maintenance garage shop that faces General Puller Highway, Route 33 on Coast Corner, is nearly completed. John Kuntz, who represents the Hartfield District on the Middlesex County Board of Supervisors, said Tuesday, September the 4th, at the supervisor meeting that the historical details for the mural has been researched. Plan of the mural will begin soon. Notwithstanding the formation of the Heritage Committee for the express purpose of inter alia research of the history of Coast Corner. Our committee that is recognition of the depth of the unknown history for the sector of the community is seeking assistance of professional historian to unearth and tell the story, learn and plan mural for the press. The Heritage Committee is not opposed of a mural in a tribute to African American history and its champions in conclusion of our youth and volunteers and painting the decorative mural. And however, it's very disappointing to the Heritage Committee was not asked to participate in any phase of the process given to the role of the Coast Corner Revitalization Plan. The Heritage Committee is committed to develop of an accurate portrait of the documentary basis of American experience in Middlesex County. The commitment posed several questions with respect to the project. But for example, who is the historian who did the research preparatory and determining the scope and the subject matter of this project? What is the scope of the project? Is the Coast Corner African American education in Middlesex? Who was the decision maker who made the ultimate decision as a final product? Final, the Heritage Committee would like the opportunity to review and comment on the sketch of the plan definition before commencement of the painting of the planned African American themed mural for this side of the Coast Corner School Bus Garage. Thank you. Sincerely, Patricia P. Polson, Satterfield, project manager. So really, we had that meeting, like I said, it was that Friday. But I would just like to let everyone know that the Heritage Committee have been diligently working and been going over, how could I say, doing the research, a lot of research through old yearbooks. They've been doing some oral research. But then, you know, in the background, I'm hearing, you know, the committee's not doing nothing. They are doing something, and they're going to get out the information, but they're going to need help with it. There has been a lot of work been done on this, and it will come out. The Heritage Committee wants to meet with the Board of Supervisors Zooming next month to explain a lot of things that they're doing and their vision and focus, and also about the old agriculture building, the things that, you know, some vision that someone may have that they want to do with this building, because definitely we don't want to tear it down, number one. And also, you know, let's write some history on it or do something. There's something in mind that they want to do with it. And as you know, that old agriculture building still belongs to Middlesex County. And I think with the Heritage Committee and all the other committees combined together, we can make a decision and as a board decide exactly what we like to do. So I'm just going to, that was the letter, all the board members, I emailed it to them and they could see it, and that's all I have to say about that. And the Heritage Committee will come back in January to give you some information. Does any other board members have any questions on that at this time? Because if not, I'm going to move on. All right. Thank you. Next, we have Workforce Housing Update, Bruce D. Simone.
Chairman Jesse, members of the board and other attendees, I'm pleased to be with you and to update you on our workforce housing project. For the record, I chair the Middlesex Foundation, which is a nonprofit corporation that was formed in early 2017 after Dave Cryer's workforce housing presentation was made to the Board of Supervisors that January. In short, our workforce housing project has been awaiting the county water system's progress, and we are pleased that the Middlesex Water Authority recently issued notices to proceed for phases 1A and B that will bring water from the wells at Rosegill to serve Cook's Corner. Unfortunately, we just learned that the Brewpub Event Center developers have pulled out due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I agree that given how adversely affected the restaurant and hospitality industries are, this is not a surprise, and I hope that their businesses do survive so that they may again flourish in the future. I share Gordon White's thoughts on that. As of yesterday's telephone conversation, the state Vibrant Communities Initiative award agencies are aware of this development. And I know that Virginia Housing, formerly called VHDA, or Virginia Housing Development Authority, will be meeting this Friday, and I expect to learn of the outcome next week. I can say that this conversation did not rule out continuing the funding for our housing project and for the interpretive nature trail. However, please note that this is not a definitive position. And as Michelle said, the Department of Housing and Community Development is also meeting this week. So a lot's going on, and I think we'll learn a lot more by next week. But just for the sake of a status, let's assume that the workforce housing project is still on. The key questions now are, when will the county water be available at Cook's Corner, and what will be the water pressure? And I pose that second as a question because we needed, just to let you know, we needed more water volume and pressure for the fire suppression than what the existing well at Cook's Corner could provide. So that when we bid out the project last year, the temporary water tank and pump for the sprinkler system increased our construction costs by over $100,000, and our projects were on a project that bids that were already over our initial budget. In addition, Virginia Electric informed us that while they would bring electricity to our two buildings at no cost to us, they did estimate that it would cost us approximately $78,500 to bring three-phase underground wire electric service in order to provide power to a fire suppression pump. So in order to reduce costs, Virginia Housing agreed to do a construction permanent loan with us at below market interest rate and consider additional grant funds. And that has been percolating. What we decided, though, is rather than wait for the water system to be operational at Cook's Corner before starting construction, we decided to try to fast track our project. And so what we're doing is we are now waiting for the county water system construction schedule dates from the Middlesex Water Authority's engineers so that we and our general contractor may work back to estimate when our housing project would need to connect to the newly installed hydrant at our site in order to pressure test the potable water and fire suppression plumbing systems before we enclose the walls on the buildings. And we're estimating that's somewhere between 40 and 60% complete. So once we would have that date, then we can work further back to when the general contractor would need to reprice the jobs with his subs. So that then the foundation can work back from that date in order to know when we would have to submit the application for the construction permanent loan and have that complete and do that. So that's really how we've been, what we've been doing and how we plan on proceeding, particularly if we get the green light that the funding for the housing project is still available to us, despite what happened with the brew pub restaurant and an event center. Let me stop there because I know you're going to have a long day and answer any questions that I possibly can.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just to clarify one point Bruce brought up in his presentation. The well he's referring to not having adequate pressure for the fire protection is the existing well at the RCE elementary school that's currently used for the county's small community water system there. Not the two wells from the water authority at Rosegill. The two wells at Water Authority, the two wells with the Water Authority at Rosegill have more than enough pressure.
I mean, the biggest risk for us is if, and it doesn't seem likely, but that the pressure after the water system goes in, the hydrant's installed, we pressure test, and it doesn't supply enough pressure for the fire suppression, then we would have to look at putting in that pump and also bringing in that three-phase wires. So we can build those costs into a contingency, but I'm hoping that's not going to, would not be the case.
Right, right. All right, well, does anyone else have any more questions for Bruce D. Simone? If not, thank you for the update, Bruce.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Hey, Bruce?
Yes.
I just have one question.
Sure.
If you get your water, you won't need to put in that three-phase. Am I correct on that?
If we get, If we get the county water, we won't need those additional costs. That's correct.
Yeah.
And that's really the main reason why.
It's my understanding they're starting, the equipment was out there today digging, so I think you're going to get your water.
Right. Okay.
That was going to be my little surprise during my report, Pete. You're correct. We started digging, literally digging today.
Fantastic.
Right.
Well, thank you again.
All right, well, thank you. Next on the agenda would be the airport project update. Jeff Gore and Brendan Hefty.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're in text communications with them right now. I think there may have been a little misunderstanding on
There
when
he
their
is.
start time would
He's
be.
coming on.
Okay.
Jeff's coming on right now.
Very good. Thanks, Betty. I was going to stall for a couple minutes for him. Glad I don't have to.
Thank goodness.
Hello.
Jeff, how are you? All right.
Good. How are you?
Good timing, Jeff.
I had another meeting that ran over, and I got lucky because I actually had you all at 5 on my calendar. But I'm glad it worked out. Sorry
They
about
would much rather hear you talk than me, Jeff, and I was going to have to stall for you for a couple minutes.
Well, sorry to make you antsy, Matt. So I can be brief. We've continued to work on the airport project since we spoke last. We have been, as you know, just a brief recap, as you know, the State Board of Aviation approved in September an exemption or a waiver from its normal grant rules for the county. So what that means is you will be able to, should you choose to move forward with the project and not forfeit your ability to recoup grant funding later on, which is up to 80% grant for the planning and construction. So that happened in September. So that's good news. Since then, your staff has been working with Mr. Barber and been working with the engineers and really honed in on the planning scopes of work. And just within the last week or two, the Department of Aviation has approved refined, revised scopes of work for the preliminary phases of the project, which are the airport layout plan and the environmental component. I can tell you there were significant reductions in those costs, so that's good. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's around 40,000 when it had been over 100,000 for those plans. So that's all happened in the last month or two. Also, we've been working on an interim agreement for the county to consider entering into with Dell Corp. The interim agreement under the PPTA would just cover what we're talking about now, the preliminary planning. So it would just cover the layout plan and the environmental. The later, if you get to that phase, the comprehensive agreement would cover project design and project construction. So we're not to that point yet. We have, I think we've just recently had a meetings of the mind between, ourselves, county staff, and Dell Corp, Mr. Barber, on in terms of an interim agreement. I'll briefly run through those terms at a high level. Before I do that, I just want to let you know there are more steps we have to go through. So you all established a procurement committee, and we're not going to get ahead of that committee. So this, I wanted to just brief you all tonight first, and then we're going to be providing the draft interim agreement to the procurement committee, who will then be able to review it, comment, ask questions, prior to making any recommendations to you all at the next board meeting. The other thing that has to happen before you can even enter into this interim agreement, under the PPTA, the agreement has to be posted for public comment for 30 days. So again, I wanted to brief you first and make sure you were aware of that requirement before we posted anything. But the plan would be to submit the draft agreement to the procurement committee, and at the same time post the draft agreement on your website so we can meet the statutory requirements and receive public comments for 30 days. That would put you in a position where if you wanted to proceed with approving the agreement at your January meeting, you'd be able to do that timing wise. So again, I'll just quickly run through the terms of the agreement, the proposed terms. Again, this is draft stage and negotiation stage, but it's very simple. Del Corp has agreed to be responsible for all of the costs associated with these planning scopes of work. So that's the airport layout plan and the environmental impact review. The scopes of work have been approved by the Department of Aviation, as well as the up to costs for those scopes of work. So the county, Del Corp and the engineer know what those costs will be, and they know what the scopes of work are. Those scopes and the costs will be attached to the interim agreement, and they're referenced in the agreement as exhibits. So the first thing I wanted to be clear on is your private partner, Del Corp, has agreed to be responsible for, in total, for those costs. So they are going to, if we move forward, they have agreed, Del Corp has agreed to contract directly with Parrish and Partners, who, as you know, is the county's airport engineer. So that's who the county would use anyway. They have agreed to contract directly with Parrish and Partners to have Parrish and Partners perform these services at the already agreed upon costs, and to directly pay Parrish and Partners for that work. Those plans would then be submitted to the county for the county to review and approve. And should the county decide to move forward with the grant process, the county would then apply for grants, submit the plans for approval by the state. Once approved by the state, we can also, along this whole process, submit for grant reimbursement. We've been told by the Department of Aviation that their recommendation is that the county submit in February, or submit for the February meeting, resubmit its grant application for the airport layout plan. And then at a subsequent meeting for the environmental. So based on those conversations, I think we'd be wise to follow the staff's advice, state staff's advice, because I think they're pretty optimistic there will be funds for a grant for the layout plan work in February. No guarantees, but they have strongly indicated that that's the path we should follow. So the draft agreement, should you all approve it at your January meeting, would allow Del Corp to go forward under contract with Parrish and Partners to have this work done, submit it to the county for approval, then the county would then submit it to the state for the state approval. Should the state, any state agency, whether it's DEQ on the environmental or Department of Aviation on the layout plan, should they not approve all or any portion of what has been provided to you all by Del Corp, then the draft agreement requires Del Corp to go back and address any of those insufficiencies with Parrish and Partners, and to resubmit it to the county for our review, and then we provide it to the state. So again, there's no financial exposure as the agreement is drafted now, and we think we have agreement from Del Corp. There's no financial exposure to the county for this phase of the project. Del Corp has agreed to fully fund this component of it, and up until state approval. So that's really all that's laid out in the interim agreement. Your private partner agrees to get the work done on the planning side. You all agree to submit that work to the state and apply for grants. Should a grant be awarded, the county would agree to pass that through to Del Corp, since they have incurred the expenses. Now, the one caveat here is I have sought clarification from the Department of Aviation that this proposed framework will be consistent with their grant guidelines. You know, what we don't want to do at the end of the day is go down a procurement path that renders the county ineligible for the grant money. Again, the county's not going to be on the hook for these costs, but in good faith, you would be agreeing to apply for a grant and pass any grant award through to your private partner. So just so, you know, the private partner, the engineer, and the county are all, you know, very clear on how this is going to go forward. I wanted sort of a final confirmation from the state aviation department that they're comfortable with this. And one reason I'm asking them again is because according to them, they've never worked with a project sponsor on a PPTA project. So while in theory they say they support it, and actually their board members made comments in September that they were very you know, excited about the prospect of a private partnership and private funding. We just wanted to be extra sure that there's not some policy or regulation that ties the state's hands at the end of the day on awarding a grant that's done when the project is done in this manner through a private partner. So I've just heard back today from the state Department of Aviation, and they're looking at my question, and I hope to hear back by the end of the week. But barring any objection from them, I think we can move forward on this path. And without any objection from you all, our plans would be to work with county staff to post the interim agreement and draft agreement and to send it to your procurement committee to start looking at it. And between now and your January meeting, I'm sure we would call together a Zoom meeting, most likely of your procurement committee, to walk through the proposed agreement in detail with them, just to make sure they're totally informed on what it's doing, and to get any feedback that they may be able to pass along to you all. So again, all we're dealing with is the preliminary planning. We're not getting into construction or project design. That's the next step. Should you all decide to move forward after you get the plan submitted, you're not tying your hands right now. But one thing the interim agreement does provide is that in good faith, the county would work with Delcorp to start putting together the terms and conditions of a comprehensive agreement that deal with the design and project construction. Again, not committing the county to move forward with it, but in sort of in the spirit of good faith to start working on a proposed agreement, so that if you decide to go forward, once you've done the planning, we can do it seamlessly and there's not a big delay where we've finished the planning, it's gotten approved, and we've got to wait another few months to work out the terms of the construction agreement. So we'll be working on that agreement. And so we have something teed up for you all to consider in early 2021, even though you're not going to be bound to move forward with it if you choose not to ultimately. So that's the big overview, so the broad brush overview of where we're at and where we're moving. If it's agreeable with you all, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Well, like Matt, I'd like to say, Matt, let's make sure things keep rolling, and because like I say, with Delcorp, they're putting up the upfront money, just as long as it doesn't hamper us for other grant situations down the road, and we're clear with that, right, Jeff? With the PPEA,
right.
We're good.
Right. And now, again, that's part of what I'm asking for clarification from the department on, just to be crystal clear, Mr. Chairman, that we're not gonna, run afoul of any obscure policy that they weren't even aware of. So I wanted to make sure they went back, looked at their policies, so everyone's on the same page that going to the PPTA, having it funded by the private partner, will not impact our grant eligibility. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Just out of an abundance of caution, I wanted to make sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. Let's roll. Let's keep it rolling.
Yep. And
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I want to ask Jeff to kind of confirm kind of a recap of the process as it stands now. So the board will agree to post this interim agreement for public comment over the next 30 days. sometime in that intervening time, we'll get the procurement and advisory committee meeting on that. While we're concurrently receiving public comment, the committee will do its work and maybe even look at some of the public comment that comes in prior to that meeting. And then the board would meet again in January, hopefully get a recommendation from the procurement and review committee, along with review of the public comments that we get, along with any comments or concerns from the state. Is that a kind of a concurrent process? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. That's all I had. And just to remind the board, I believe we have a couple of advisory members on the procurement and review committee from the state, direct representatives of the Department of Aviation. And as Jeff has very well stated, the Department of Aviation heretofore has not done a PPTA project. This is totally uncharted territory for them. So it's in their interest to help guide us and make sure that it goes through properly. The board will recall any of y'all who have been to the Governor's Infrastructure Financing Conference. They really encourage state agencies like VDOT, Department of Rail, and I guess Department of Aviation too, to utilize this form of procurement and project partnership. The General Assembly's been encouraging it for quite some time. So, hey, we're the first for the Department of Aviation. Maybe that will be a good thing.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and take care.
All right.
Next. All right. Next, we have Middle Peninsula Planning District Hazard Mitigation Agreement. Kurt Smith. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
All
Doing
right.
well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have been provided in your packets a service agreement for the required 5-year update of the Middle Peninsula All Hazard Mitigation Plan. One important component that I'll point out that's in this agreement is that we're also asking not only for the approval of the agreement, but also the appointment of 2 representatives to serve on the plan steering committee. These representatives will be very important to the process. They'll serve as the conduit to communicate information between the board and our planning staff working on the update to the plan. The reason why it's important for the localities on the Middle Peninsula to participate in the FEMA planning process is that it's federally mandated through the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. An important component of the Disaster Mitigation Act is that it basically sets the stage for any jurisdiction who wants to access FEMA resources related to hazard mitigation has to have a FEMA approved plan in place, and it has to be updated every 5 years. I believe this is the 4th rendition of our plan, and it's always received good marks from FEMA and positioned all the jurisdictions on the Middle Peninsula well for those resources. So, and when I'm talking about resources specifically, I'm talking about the hazard mitigation grant program that our localities rely on for all the various hazard mitigation projects that are done around the region, from home elevations and things of that nature. So that's the most immediate and direct penalty that our localities would face for not having this plan in place. There are other more, I'll call them elephants in the room, that are not usually pushed by FEMA, but they could be pushed if you do not have a plan. One would be increases in your constituents' federal flood insurance premiums, or even the worst case scenario, which would be the lack of your constituents living in designated flood plains to not have the ability to access federally backed mortgages. So there are some major strings attached to this, and there's a lot of reasons. So I'm just trying to paint the picture that there's a lot of reasons to have a good plan in place, a FEMA approved plan in place. So just want to be very brief and cover that, but we are asking for action for approval of the agreement that's in your packet, and also appointment of the required 2 representatives.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a recommendation from the board.
All right.
The board may recall that this was somewhat of a hot topic last time. That's one of the reasons I invited Mr. Smith to join us tonight to kind of walk the board through it. I do have a recommendation on the 2 appointed staff persons to fulfill that role. And I think if we have the Emergency Services Coordinator, David Lehman, and our Planning Director, David Kretz, be our representatives, I think the political nuances would be well represented at the table with their presence. And I would encourage the board to consider those 2 nominations as representatives and to adopt the agreement.
All right. Do we have any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to adopt the hazardous mitigation plan agreement, and also nominate Dave Kretz and David Lehman? Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion by Lloyd Kimball. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Lloyd Kimball, second by Pete Mansfield. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Goods,
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Aye.
Mr. Jesse.
Aye. Motion so carried.
Thanks.
All right. Go ahead, Matt. You had something to say?
I was just thanking Kurt for being here tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, everyone. Please take care.
All right, take care. Next on the agenda is the multi-purpose path. Mark Longlis and Drew Williams, page 90 and 92. How you doing, Mark?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes, sir. I don't believe Drew is on, but I wanted to give an update on the bike path.
Okay.
In your packets, you received some notifications that we were granted the grant for the multi-use path down in Deltaville. They had awarded that, and our update we have right now is that we're trying to establish when they will release the funds. Drew is working on that. We don't know if they'll be releasing that of July of next year. But from the approvals that we've put in your packet, we did get the award, and we're working on that right now for the next steps we need to take for getting this process started.
Question, Mark. Is that a matching grant or that's non-matching grant?
20% match.
20% match?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was just trying to remember. I know when they applied for it, I didn't know what what's the grant.
That's actually a little bit of good news for the board tonight. We've kind of been waiting for some kind of more official response from VDOT on whether we received it. I think we received an email about a month ago that was kind of inconspicuous, so we didn't notice it. But it is very good news. The grant has been awarded, and now we need to take steps, I guess, to move the project along to the next planning phase. Now, Mark, we do have a phone number that's unidentified in the attendees, 763-9555. I don't know if that's Drew or not. He did say he was going to be here this evening, I believe.
And I don't believe that's him. I know his phone number starts with a 540.
Okay. Yeah.
From what I have with the Berkeley group. So
okay. We don't want to scare any person in the public at 763. So I just figured.
No, I did email him earlier today to let him know, and he responded back that we're working on it. And that's what they're looking to get clarification on the funding. We have been awarded. We just want to make sure either the funds are available now or will they be released in July for the next fiscal year to be used.
Yeah, I think that's where we are, Mr. Chairman. Trying to determine what our next steps are on making sure we utilize the money and get the project moving forward.
I would just remember when we had a meeting down Delta at that time, I think they say if you get the grant 1 year, it's a good possibility you get it another year for like 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, sir. That's my understanding. The last VDOT, like many state agencies, if you have a proven success record, you have a somewhat favored position in the next grant cycle. And they recognize our project as a multi-phase approach, maybe even ultimately a county-wide system that gets deployed, starting in that area around Deltaville, where we're trying to link nodes of interest down there with the multipurpose path. So this would be the first phase. We'll probably put in for another phase this year, and wait to see if we get that funded in the spring or fall of 2021.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, if you look in the staff report on the one page that has it circled where we've got the award, one that's 2 down from that is actually an existing project for Stafford County. So when we had the meeting down in Deltsville, speaking with Mr. Lawrence there, that you look favorably on ones that are already existing and they want to continue those projects. So you can see that there are ones in that list that are existing and are continuing to get grant money to continue those projects.
Well, does anybody have any more questions for Mark?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mark, did you get exactly what you asked for? A little bit less, a little bit more?
We've gotten from what we projected into the request is what we got. So it was the 800 with the county matching the 200. So we got the $1 million as listed for the cost, what we put in for.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mark. I know you've put a lot of work into this. This is the best news I've heard all month.
Yes, sir.
Any other board member have any questions for Mark? If not, thanks, Mark.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Regular items agenda. Budget supplement request. Betty Muncy, page 93 to 94. Betty?
I'm here. We have 2 of these. Both of them are in and out, where we've gotten revenue in and we need to spend it out. So no new county dollars. This is, or no money being spent from the regular budget. These are new monies. Passport fees that the treasurer's office collects. There's kind of a unwritten agreement with the treasurer's office that they get to keep 80% of those fees, and the treasurer uses those to reimburse the 2 employees that help do those passports. So that's $1,511.94 going back to the treasurer's office. And then the number 37 is for Life funding that the counties received from the state for FY20 in the amount of $13,826.80. That would be a check written back to Middlesex Rescue Squad.
All right. Well, do we have a motion for budget supplement request form FY 2021-33 and 39? Do we have a motion to approve?
37.
30.
It's
Yeah,
37.
it is 7. I gotta put my glasses on. Okay. 37. Do I have a motion to approve? Speak up now. I will hold your peace.
I'll move to approve fiscal year 2021-33 and -37.
All right, we have a motion by John Coons. We have a second by who?
Mr. Coons.
Motion by Ludd, second by John.
Oh, okay. No, motion by John, second by Pete Mansfield.
No.
Was that right or wrong?
Motion by Mr. Kimbrough, second by.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. The hearing in here is messed up. Okay, we have a motion by Lud Kimball, and then second by John Coons. Do we have any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Coons.
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough.
Aye.
Mr. Jesse.
Aye. Motion so carried. Next, we have citizens appointment. Betty Munson.
Yep. The only new one on your list is for the Planning Commission from the Jamaica District. That's to replace Shirley Hart, who resigned from that seat. So you have an application from Kristen Smith in your packet. And then still on the Johnson Grass Committee, we only have George Sneed as an applicant. So
All
if you
right.
want to hold off on that one, maybe do the Planning Commission one.
Okay, well, do we have a motion for the planning commission for Christian Smith?
So moved.
We have a motion by Reggie Williams. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Reggie Williams, second by Pete Mansfield. Any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Coons?
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye.
Mr. Jesse?
I will stand. Motion so carried. All right, next we have a health department request. Or did you, are you going to do the one?
I'm going to do this one too.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Down at the health department, they have gotten some CARES money in of their own, and they are going to be putting in a storage unit or a storage building behind the building. And so they had asked for waiving of that fee for that. And that was, I don't see an amount in there. It was the $40 zoning fee for that. And then also, Matt and I met with Dr. Williams and Matt Carpentier and Crystal Reagan of the health department. And they wanted to do some improvements down there within the building to make some areas more secure. And this has to do with the COVID reporting and activities that they do down there as a district office, not just as the Middlesex Health Department, but also the Three Rivers Health District office. And they were funds that they were improvements that would be eligible for CARES Act funding. So we have contracted for that work to be done. And the contractor has gotten a building permit, but we are asking that those fees be waived also. So that's approximately a $250 fee, excuse me. So waiving of those two fees for improvements at the health department.
Do we have a motion request to waiver for fee?
So move.
Motion by John, do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Reginald Williams, motion by John, second by Reginald Williams. Any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Coons?
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye.
Mr. Jesse?
Aye.
Thank you.
Matt Walker, you're up next. The 2021 budget schedule.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I'm going to share my screen. It may help the board review the budget calendar. If you'll bear with me, I think I've got it. Can everyone see the budget calendar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. This is a draft budget calendar for next year's budget process. It's pretty much identical to the existing budget calendar that we used this past year and several years prior. I do have noted two items that I wanted to get some direction from the board on. Presumably, the board would want to meet in these work sessions via Zoom, but I did not want to assume that. Part of my administrator's report in a moment will identify some health department concerns that we're going to be addressing throughout the several months coming, where we're expecting the pandemic to have an uptick. But I didn't want to presume that the board would want to meet via Zoom. So I guess I'm asking one general question that would impact the calendar throughout, or at least up until the pandemic and recommendations for meeting in person rescind. Does the board wish to meet via Zoom? And if so, we can make that throughout the agenda to be modified later depending on circumstances.
All right, what's the will of the board? I just want to hear from all board members.
I'd like to meet by Zoom.
Okay,
I would.
all right,
I would.
okay. I would. So it's unanimous.
Yep.
we meet by Zoom.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and that pretty much sheds some light on the other matter that I wanted to discuss with the board. And we have met with the school board for dinner. That may be a little problematic over Zoom, but I guess it would make sense that we meet with the school board via Zoom at the February 9th meeting as well. And I can arrange that with Dr. Pete and Karen with the school board. And of course, if we need to align this with any changes in school board schedule, we can accommodate their process within ours.
So that would be a 4 o'clock meeting then and skip the 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we'd probably get everything done at the 4 o'clock meeting and maybe not need the 6 o'clock. That's correct, Betty. So with that presumption moving forward, I wanted to address Kathy and May's concerns a little bit in the way I think we can. This does parallel previous years' budget adoption schedules and calendars. Honestly, it may facilitate easier meeting and discussion via Zoom. So it is entirely possible that the board could finish the budget earlier. And I want to make note of the tentative meetings that we kind of have built in as needed within the budget calendar right here in this time frame between March 9th and March 23rd. Those are a series of tentative budget work session meetings that could be employed to expedite the process and have the budget go to public hearing potentially earlier in April, or maybe even if it's like possible at the end of March. And that would accommodate May and Kathy's concerns on trying to get the tax rates from the board as soon as possible in order to meet their requirements in a little bit easier fashion. So I wanted to let you know that I did meet with the treasurer and the commissioner. I know it's been a concern of the previous treasurer and commissioner for years, and it's something that we may be able to accommodate. But I feel compelled to remind the board that this budget year is going to be tough right out the box. We've gotten news from the regional jail that's a little disconcerting about salary changes that they're having to make, and that's probably going to have a cascading effect throughout our sheriff's departments in the region. We also were, as the board realizes, we were bringing in some money from fund balance last year to balance the operating budget. This upcoming budget year may not be different. So it's going to be a challenging budget. I think they get more challenging, not less. I haven't known one to get less challenging. And with the COVID pandemic still very much a threat out there, we're just not sure how the state's going to percolate through their budget processes, or to what effect the federal government will have resources flow to us through the states. So with that being said, I just want the board to realize, if at all possible, if it's the board's will, we can try to finish this budget earlier. As the board realizes, we're not going to get meaningful feedback from the state probably until March. So it may be we try to get something done a little earlier, but with less knowns from the state. And Mr. Chairman, that's pretty much what I had. I just wanted to let the board know that we will try to accommodate the treasurer and the commissioner of revenue if the board's desire is to do so. And those dates in March would be where the staff would try to accommodate that. And that's all I had, Mr. Chairman. If y'all would approve the draft calendar with any changes you want to make to it, with that understanding, we can go ahead and get going.
All right. Do you need a motion on that?
I would ask for one, because what we will do is I'll ask Susan, once the board adopts the draft calendar, is to go ahead and set those meetings up and get those out to the board so they can fill your calendars earlier rather than later, to avoid any confusion.
All right. We do have a motion for a draft calendar for the budget of 2021.
So moved.
Motion by John Coon. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Lud Kimmel. Motion, probably second by Lud Kimmel. roll call. And,
Mr. Chair, if I may, could there be discussion?
oh yeah, I started by that discussion.
Matt, I've only done 3 budgets at this point, or I'm starting my 3rd. My question to you, having done more of this and having more information on this year's information on revenue and expenses, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest, 1 being the easiest, what's your forecast for this budget season?
I would put it at about a 9.7.
That is all. Thank you.
All right, any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Coons?
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Aye.
Mr. Jesse?
Aye. Betty, now can we do another roll call? We've been here for 2 hours.
Well, that's what I was,
I mean, we did this for the motion, man. Now you got to do it again.
now, Mrs. Lewis and I were discussing that. The electronic meeting format says that if all board members are not joined by video, then a roll call will be taken every 2 hours. So since you are all on video, you are all visible and can be seen on the recording, it's not really necessary, but
Good.
I'd be happy to do it.
That's good. I mean, we just roll call, so we know we're all here.
You're all there.
Okay, all right. That was the budget schedule, county administrator update. Anything else, Matt?
I'll be very brief, Mr. Chairman, but I do have 3 items I'd like to update the board on. Pete Mansfield stole my thunder on the Water Authority beginning construction. So I'll kind of skip over that, other than to say we continue to have pre-construction meetings and on the different phases, but work has commenced on phase 1 and 2 of the project. And that's going to be fairly visible for the board members as they come through Saluda. So I'm happy to report that. Real quick, one of the 3 items I wanted to update the board on, we were notified today by Dr. Williams of the uptick in COVID cases in the region. And it is Dr. Williams with the Virginia Health Department's recommendation that the county administrators begin meeting weekly to discuss pandemic response like we were earlier this spring and early summer. So we'll probably start weekly meetings again this week on the pandemic. And the board may have noticed that a number of our wear a mask signs have been vandalized and destroyed. I believe we have some spares. We're going to endeavor to get those up and try to monitor those a little closely. But there is an upsurge in COVID cases, and we're still not out of the woods on this thing. And we'll probably invite Dr. Williams back in January to update the board and answer any questions the public may have. But the county administrators in the region will be meeting weekly with Dr. Williams from here on out through at least the remainder of this season.
Matt, where's our numbers at right now? I haven't looked, but what are our numbers right now?
I felt like you would ask, and I pulled them up. Our numbers in Middlesex, we have 11 fatalities, I believe. We have 172 documented cases heretofore, and I believe we have 10 that have been hospitalized.
Mm-hmm.
So region-wide, we have definitely seen an uptick in documented cases, and part of that is we're testing more often. It may be time to have another test session here in Middlesex for the convenience of our citizens. We'll try to work that out with the health department.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
And if any citizen here this evening wants to see this information, there are links from the county's website that take you to the Virginia Department of Health screen COVID tracker, not the least of which they give you probably more information you ever want to know about this.
All right.
Okay. Man, I'd like to tell you that I really think that Dr. Williams gives wonderful reports.
Yes, he does. And if I may, I don't want to take too much of the board's time, but this is the website I'm referring to. This is the COVID tracker that you can link to from the county's website. I think everybody can see that, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can click on county, you can zoom in and out of the region, but that's the Three Rivers Health District, and these are the numbers that we're looking at. It even goes into a little bit of detail on the number of hospitalizations, the number in ICU, the numbers on ventilators, and the total ventilators used. There's pretty good documentation of this, and it's something that, you know, we want to continue to encourage our citizens to take this very seriously. You try to social distance, try to wear a mask, and you know, try to limit exposure to large groups, and you know, just take it seriously, because you may be fine, you may get it, not have symptoms, and just be feeling that this is kind of a non-issue, but you may give it to someone else that's got medical issues, and it may take them out of here, and something we need to take serious.
You know, you look at it, we got the highest death rate around.
Yes, sir, and that's primarily because.
What is that all about? I mean, I'm just curious. What is that all about?
If my memory serves, I think it was largely prevalent in some of our nursing homes. They are the most frail and weak among us, and the most susceptible to having severe complications.
Okay.
Yep. And I can ask Dr. Williams to be a little bit more specific on that. Of course, we don't want to disclose names or anything, but
Oh yeah, definitely on that. Okay.
I think that was the case. Anything else on pandemic? Okay, the last thing I had for the board's pleasure tonight, and I don't want to steal Lud's thunder on this. We had a very productive meeting with our consultant engineers on the sewer project. Staff continues to meet with HRSD on the sewer project. Couple of items of note: the board may actually see construction begin on the force main that will be coming from the proposed lift station at Cook's Corner back into the Saluda treatment plant soon. That's a pre-construction meeting that we're going to have with HRSD in the next couple of weeks. And it's my understanding from HRSD that they want to begin construction on that fairly quickly. And of course, we are working with our HRSD partner on the Cook's Corner sewer system. We were successful in being awarded funding through the Virginia Revolving Loan Fund. I think I reported that to the board last month, and we're working through the details with HRSD on the logistics of that. Much more to report. Lud, or were you planning to report any, or I can cover the rest?
No, cover the rest, Matt. Go ahead. I got something else.
Very good. So the Cook's Corner collection system, that's something that we're working with HRSD on. They're still in the easement acquisition process on that. They hope to begin design or finish design work and move to bid in January. Bid opening February or March. And of course, again, we were approved for Virginia Revolving Loan funding for that. Pretty attractive rates at that time. They're working through some details on some items we have to get to the VRA and the Virginia Revolving Loan Fund folks on that project. The Regional Force Main and Interceptor project, I know, Pete, this is a subject near and dear to your heart. They are still planning on a February 2022 start and are confident that they'll be able to complete that project by August 2024. We've been working with HRSD to help them find a pump station location in or around Hartfield. We think we found a suitable location. We can't disclose where it is because those contract discussions are still ongoing with the property owner. But it is very, very, very likely that we'll be able to dual purpose that pump station to serve as the pump station we would need for our collection system as well. And that will save the county money on the county's responsibility for the collection system there. Of course, the board would be aware that the HRSD, Hampton Roads Sanitation District, would own and maintain that pump station when completed. The Hartfield collection system itself, we're looking at having design begin on that project in March. And the HRSD folks hope to bid that project concurrent with the Interceptor main project and have it under construction at the same time. And the topping system is moving forward. We, again, Lud and I met with our consultant engineers on that. And as you can imagine, even though that's a county project at this time, it's going to involve some cooperation and coordination with the HRSD folks, because a portion of the interceptor, the portion of the force main leaving topping would be the county's responsibility up until the topping post office, and then pretty much the leg from topping post office back to the 33 corridor would be something that HRSD would be responsible for building to receive that effluent. Items of note on that, even though the county's deploying that collection system, HRSD has told us that they would prefer to own and operate the pump station leaving topping and that stretch of force main that would be installed on our responsibility from the collection system. And that's great news for us, because operation and ownership and maintenance of those pump stations can be a costly endeavor. And with them operating and controlling and maintaining that, that could be a good thing for us. There are other items that are in the works that I feel maybe a little premature to report back to the board. So hoping to have good news for y'all for Christmas, but it may have to be good news for the new year. But we'll be back to the board on more considerations on maybe some thawing of once held positions by HRSD on the partnership that we have there. And Mr. Chairman, that's a good quick summation of a lot of behind the scenes work that's going on. One final thing I would add is we're still trying to work with HRSD staff to get the necessary information that we need to transfer the property at Cook's Corner for the lift station that's needed there for that collection system, along with the easements. I believe HRSD is still trying to get Heather some information that is needed. And I know I say it every month, I hope that's ready for prime time in January. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Next, county attorney update. Heather, you have anything for us?
Just at the same song and dance I've said the last couple of times, but as you know, the water project is well underway, and that is a substantial consumption of my time. We have filed the majority of the condemnation certificate of takes, and that process continues on, but I'm pleased to report that slowly but surely we are having good conversations with citizens and making some headway. So that work continues.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Heather? If not, thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
All right, next we got unfinished and new business. Do we have any board member have any unfinished business?
I think this would fall under the unfinished business, Mr. Chairman. I have brought up the Atlantic Broadband customer service issues the last couple of meetings, and I have an update there. Matt arranged a meeting with one of the, I guess he's a regional director of Atlantic Broadband. John Kuntz and I were able to attend the meeting. We were able to express our dissatisfaction with their level of service. This is a person who is has recently come to work at Atlantic Broadband from another firm. He definitely understood the problem. He did a good job of explaining that essentially in April, their business suddenly had about a 50% increase in demand when everybody's kids started going to school from home and everybody started working from home. And you can imagine all the new service calls and the stress that their system was put under as a result of that. They were expecting it to last about a month. That was when we were going to stay home for 2 weeks and then everything was going to be fine. And he accepted responsibility for their failure to respond more timely and recognize the issues. So he explained what his priorities were in terms of addressing the problem. I got an update from him today, and this is what they've done so far. They did initiate, as of several weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, job postings for 30 new customer service representatives. The first class of 10 is beginning their training today. So they have onboarded that to expand that. They, as you if you called with a complaint, as you realized, they did not have an auto callback feature that said, we'll keep your place in the queue and we'll call you back when we've got somebody. They re-examined that. It's been reinstated. And there are some transactions that it works for and some that it doesn't. But my wife called them yesterday and she did receive the auto callback and was very pleased with the service that she got. And no, they didn't know that she was related to me and that I was talking to their boss's boss. So that was a good sign. The reason that they took that offline was that the call volume in March through June was so overwhelming that the callbacks under that system were taking up to a week, and that just didn't make any sense, so they took it down. They're able now to handle roughly a third of their calls automatically by computer. These are, if you need to pay your bill, you can click here. They're also farming out routine billing calls to a third party. So these are all steps they've taken in the last couple of weeks in order to address these things. He also said that they're aggressively pursuing the VADI grants, and they have committed $100,000 of their own capital to enable those VADI grants to be taken advantage of by the end of December when they expire. That's really a summary of it. I don't think that anybody is going to get the level of service that they desire or that the company wants to provide in the next couple of weeks because the volume is still high and they're still training up their staff. But I do want to applaud them for taking these many steps and making this much progress in just a couple of weeks since we first talked with them. And he did actually thank us for bringing to his attention the failure to have the automatic callback system online. And that's what brought that to their attention. So not perfect yet, but they are making progress, and really appreciate Matt for bringing him to the table and inviting John and me to share our thoughts with him. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Any more unfinished business?
Yeah, Letter, are they going to open their business here in Middlesex?
He didn't mention anything about plans to open their branch office, Pete, and I don't know whether that I don't know whether the Atlantic Broadband ownership just doesn't believe in that business model, or whether they really did it because for COVID reasons, they didn't want people in the office. I don't have any insight there.
Well, they need to at least put a sign on the door saying how to get in touch with them.
I'll pass that along.
Right. Well, thank you on that. Okay, how about new business? Anybody got any new business? All right. Matters presented to the board. Pete Mansfield. Have anything?
Nope. Thank you.
Reginald Williams, have anything?
Well, I talked to Kern, who's head of our recreation, and also the skating, the ones that got the skating ring that want to go over Puchetta County. We was up there at old St. Clair Walker Elementary School, and we was looking over what could be done. So maybe we could have a skating ring and a basketball court at the same time. And this is supposed to be meeting next week in a Zoom and see if some kind of way that we can come together as a county and put this, maybe get together and do this. And as we get more information back, we'll find out whether we have the land, the best place to put it or whatever. But right now, we are looking at Coos Corner, right there by the academy. So I did that today. I mean, you know, that's what I did with Karen when we got together today on that. So that'll be probably coming to the board our next meeting or something to see what we can do to give these young people somewhere to skate, as well as basketball and also skating. The only other thing that, I like to say is that, given all thanks to God, my first year had been a period of understanding how everyone in Mill 6 are connected, from the fisherman to the farmer, from the retired to the newborn. Obstacles such as some events that have been foreseen, the pandemic, COVID-19, lack to see more on containing transparency on budget, future projects, always keeping the future of Mill 6 for everyone in my thoughts, deeds, and action. And it's been truly humbling experience. And for me, I will continue to serve Mill 6 to the best of my ability I can, because to me, it's all about Mill 6. And that's my experience the first year. I came in blind, and I would like to see that, we had more information, job descriptions all over the county, all regardless of what job you're doing, what position you're doing or what you're doing. It should be that it should be so much transparency that a person walking into a job, they know what is expected of them. And as being leaders in the county, we got to represent what the county does. And I feel also that as a local government, it's things that we can do as a local government. And sometimes this year, I felt that we did stood up, but at a lot of times we went soft. And something Mansfield said a few minutes ago, and I'm glad he brought it up, because a guy approached me about broadband, well, 2 or 3 people, and he said, man, a lot of us are old and we don't use the charge card. We like to go to the office, we like to pay cash, and the small things like that when it makes you feel good when someone come to you and ask you try to do the very best you can to try to solve that problem. And as supervisors, I've learned a lot from each one of you all. And I appreciate it all. I feel we communicate a whole lot better, because I like the fact, and I know I haven't been doing that great a job, and it would be better. Because I'm just saying straight up, man, is Harmony Village District, if something happened, Reggie wanted to know. I don't want to be sidetrack or blind track or whatever you call it. I want to know. And as supervisor, I feel that's one thing that we got to do. We are the backbone. We decide what is. And this county is shaped the way it is. And the things that we are doing are decided. We go back 50 years ago, another 100. We got to make sure that whatever we do as a board of supervisors is fair and the love of everybody in Middlesex County, and that's what I feel about each one of you all. So I'm still learning. One thing John told me, he said, hey, take 3 months to learn. I'm getting that budget pretty good, but accountability is right on time. And like Matt was saying, when he asked the question, I like the question he asked. Matt said, I felt that when John asked the question, and then Matt kind of like, we played into it. Anyway, he's saying to me, look, this time is strange. Money is going to be funny. Everybody got to look at their budget and see what they can do away with and not be wasteful. And that's all I'm gonna waste the time on, because it's gonna get interesting. I'm better this year than I was, yes.
Reggie, it's nothing if not interesting.
Well, that's a word we use a lot, but it's a lot to that word.
All right, well, thanks on that, Reggie. John. Hey, John.
Yeah, Reggie, I really appreciate your thoughts. And, at the end of my first year, I don't know that I was as comfortable relaying that, but there is common ground among all 5 of us, and that's Middlesex. And you spoke better than I can, so I'll leave that there. The only thing I have to report, Mr. Chair, I just got word 20 minutes ago that we did receive $25,741 federal CARES dollars to go to 6 projects in the county that will expand broadband access through Atlantic Broadband. So even 6 new customers for Atlantic Broadband, even in an environment where they're not all the best in customer service, but are improving. Just know that Kevin Gentry and the Middlesex Broadband Authority are working hard and knocking down grants here and there, and we're looking forward to hearing about VATI any day. So that's all I have.
Thank you, John. Lud?
I just want to recognize the Crier Center and all the people that volunteer for that organization. I had some furnishings that I wanted to donate, and I took them there last week, and I opened the first container where you're supposed to leave things, and there was no room. It was completely full. And I went to the second one, that was completely full. Unfortunately, somebody showed up and opened the door so I could get inside, and that was almost completely full. The migration, I think, of people to this area has caused an influx of donations, but somebody's got to do the logistics and sort it all out and say, here's a sofa. How do we get that to the people that need it? Or how do we get that marketed so that we can generate cash to help the people in the community? And it really opened my eyes to what an enormous task the Crier Center undertakes and how much good they can do for people that are really in need right now, as somebody talked about earlier, because of the jobs, particularly in hospitality and food service, that have been eliminated. So I just want to recognize all the people that volunteer for that organization. It's really very valuable to our community.
All right. Well, thank you, Lud. And I'd just like to say, it's been a tough year, but we just about making it through it and still got a lot to do. I just want to say, just look out for each other, and regardless if you're black, white, Republican, Democrat, or whatever. I mean, we all in the same boat together, and I think we need to look out for each other. And if you think about it, if you look at what's going on in the world, the country is halfway divided. But I think around here, we're gonna try and look out for each other, and just keep praying. That's all I can say. We're not all gonna agree, and you may think things are crazy, and you think that we're gonna have civil war. If you talk to certain people, but around here, I think a small community like Middlesex County, we're blessed. And we look out for each other. We may not agree with everything, but I think at the end of the day, we try to do what's right for the fellow men and women of the county. And I enjoyed, being chair for the board of supervisors here with everyone. And I'm not perfect. I try to relay all my messages. And I know from time to time you got to put out fires, but it's all about working together and unity. All right. Now, we got to go to closed session. 2.2-3711 A1 personnel. Heather?
Yes, sir.
Roll us in.
Mr. Chairman, we need a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711A1. This is for the discussion of personnel matters, specifically regarding the county administrator and the county attorney.
All right. Roll call.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion with properly second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Okay.
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Aye.
and Mr. Jesse.
Aye.
And
All right, Kevin, how are we gonna do this?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I've put in everybody's chat to the board members a link to the other meeting, and we're gonna go there, and then I'll put a link in that meeting to bring us back like we did last time. Hopefully we can make it.
All right.
Kevin, I don't have one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Heather. I didn't know you were in the meeting. Sorry about that.
Well, I mean, I guess.
Well, that's a good question. Does the board want to have a couple minutes by themselves before they invite Heather and I in?
We're gonna have to, because I need to talk to the board anyway.
Right.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah, we need to
Well,
go.
we'll just kind of stand by.
The board, right? Board members right now.
Okay, my apologies, y'all. Let us know when.
okay, I'm going to pause the recording then.
Okay.
Thank you, Betty.
For those that stay behind, just keep your connection muted. Does anyone have any questions on the link? Reggie or Pete, do you see it in your chat?
I don't hit my chat, but I don't.
Let me make sure I sent it to you, Reggie. I'm gonna send it to you again. Hang on. If I did.
Oh, I see it.
You do see it? Okay. It should take you there. I see John and Bud made it over. Pete, do you see the link there, or do you need me to assist?
Well, first of all, I don't know what I'm looking for. So,
Okay, sure. In the bottom of the screen there, there's a place where it says chat. There's a little chat function. Let's
Here.
see. So,
Right there. What's happening?
so apparently we have it. Yes.
We've got it, Kevin.
thank you.
Do you want me to click on that?
Yep, that'll take us into the other meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
I clicked on it.
Thank you, dear.
Why didn't you ask for help?
Well, because it just happened about
It didn't go.